Welcome. You're listening to Behind the Home Build, a podcast dedicated to all things home building. Whether you're a home builder, home buyer, or something in between, we're here to connect you with the industry experts. My name is Danny Langerman, CEO and mortgage loan originator. With me is my son Riley Langerman, mortgage loan originator. All right, well, welcome to Behind the Home Build podcast, Mr. Kory Koralewski, right?
Koralewski.
Koralewski.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, a little bit to Koralewski. So right now you've actually got a couple of businesses that you have. One is the Optimum Field Service Solutions, and the other being the Nano Shield coating. But first and foremost, let's get to kind of know a little bit about you. We were talking just about family-owned businesses, and you're working with your family. So you work with your family then?
I do, yep. My wife and I have been on many ventures. So, this is our seventh business. The roof coating business is our seventh business. But we've exited 5 businesses successfully. No magical number, big exits, but, gotten out of them, and that's a good thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So have they all been within the home?
No, they weren't. Two of them, I had a millworks business where I did finished carpentry. My brother and I, doors, windows, trim work. So that was the other home industry one. But otherwise it was barbecue and limousine business and deli. We had a deli as well. So,
Wow.
I tell you what, restaurant business might be one of the hardest things I've ever done.
I couldn't imagine.
Truly it was.
Yeah, that's kind of what you hear, but that's pretty neat. You sound like quite the entrepreneur.
Well, I believe it's in me, but coming from corporate America, and really one of the things that I resonate with is my passion is around helping businesses solve problems. So in our own businesses, we work on that all the time, and that's a challenge, because it isn't always easy to always understand exactly all the steps and the pieces of the puzzle. When you get started, startups are difficult. So I just keep doing it, Supposedly that's going to get easier in time, but it doesn't. Startups are startups. So
That's right.
You just have to be ready for that.
Business is business. It's not like there's just this magical battery that you stick in a business and it just runs on its own and you just start making money.
Yep, absolutely.
So you have kids in it work with you too?
I do. My kids have been a part of everything that we've done. They had some role in all the businesses. In fact, I was sharing with my son today, we had a job this morning, and we got a job done in a couple hours today, which is great. It's wonderful. But in the barbecue business, that would have taken most of the day to earn that same kind of income. And I'm explaining to him, that wasn't even all of it. I mean, the beginning of the day, or the beginning of the week, you start cooking. I mean, you don't just cook on the day of. You got to be prepared for a barbecue event. And it's nice to be in a business that I think we're going to be able to make some real traction in the market. And I think there's a real need for what we're doing. So we're excited about what this business is.
Good. Okay, I'm a huge barbecue fan. You got to explain this business to me. I'm very intrigued about this.
Yeah, well, I jumped off the cliff on that one, and I had a 17-foot custom-built smoker built for me in Indiana. Went and picked that up, took it back to Sacramento, California, and I started Ski Smoke and Barbecue. So I go by Ski, actually. That's the name that most people call me. But yeah, we kicked that thing off, and I'll tell you what, amazing big events, hundreds of pounds of meat in an event, it's just crazy. But I've got some pretty good recipes that I'm happy to share with you.
I'll take them, absolutely.
I'm just now getting into smoking and stuff, so I could use some advice.
Yeah. Well, I would say that, I threw my first dozen briskets away because nobody would eat it. But once you know how to do it, I'll tell you, I'll give you some of my secrets. It's
Fair
not
enough.
hard. It's
right
not
on.
hard.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. I still have the same smoker I've had for about 20 years, and
I
don't clean it. I won't give it away, and I won't get a new one right now because it's got too much into it.
It's tuned up right
now. It is.
You want it to be as dirty as possible.
That's pretty much it.
Our second barbecue business was actually here in Castle Rock. It was Holy Smokes Barbecue, and in fact, the company's still there. So if you're listening,
there's a plug.
Yeah, shout out.
I started that company, and we were selling equipment and doing catering and doing cooking classes. So my kids spent a lot of time, in the trailer at the shop selling stuff. They were great at it. But it was a great business.
Okay, I'm assuming you got rid of the trailer.
I got rid of the trailer, and we sold the business, moved out to Nebraska, and that's where I got into the ag industry. So,
gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So how many kids do you have?
2.
Okay, right on.
Yep. My daughter Faith is 23, and my son Joey is 20, and my wife and I. So we're going after it every day.
Very cool.
Yeah, that is pretty neat. So I know you've got 2 businesses going on right now. One's the Optimum Field Service Solutions, and then you've got the Nano Shield. Do you focus more on one than the other, or is it?
They're kind of set up. Great question. So they're set up. The irrigation business right now, our customer is a dealer. They sell the center pivots, the big sprinklers. So they're actually busy right now. So our summers were kind of left open. That we've been in that business for 5 years, and we get by fine. It's a great setup in terms of a business, but we were slow in the summer because they're busy and there's nobody paying attention to us. So we can't really sell our services during the summertime. So our current customers we're helping them throughout the summer. And then, my brother and I, again, he's actually got the same business in northern Colorado, up in Windsor. Mm-hmm. So he's also doing the Go Nano roofing business. So he's in it as well. But anyway, he brought it up to me, and we, just through, I believe, God's intervention, we just found this to be a great opportunity. And so we kicked it off, and here we go.
So then we'll jump into kind of the Nano Shield is what your coating company. So one of the biggest things that I always believe in too is the preventative care of anything that you're working with, right? Yeah. So then it doesn't cost you more down the road. So the preventative care that you're talking about your shingles, your driveways, and then actually you even do wood as well.
Yep, absolutely, yep. And that's what the reason we were drawn to Go Nano. So Go Nano is the product. We kind of have an area of Denver that we primarily focus on in terms of business and promoting our business and such. We live in Elizabeth, so we have that county, and then here in Arapahoe County, and kind of the Denver metro is what we service now. But the primary focus on what we do, and what I thought was so great about it, is as a homeowner, and realizing, there are 3 things that the highest expense things for a homeowner are their foundation, their HVAC or heating, cooling, and the roof, which happens to be the number 1 thing. An analogy for me as I kind of start to, think about this business and the approach that we took on it is the one industry where they knock on your door, the only one, is roofing. Yep. Right? So you're not really getting the plumber and the electrician knocking on your door. You're typically looking for them, right? And then finding that there may not be a whole lot of them. You're trying to find a solution for your home. Whereas in the roofing industry, right, they're just waiting for a storm to come. And by the way, I'm not saying anything bad about roofing. In fact, we've partnered with some really good roofers, and they're Denver-based businesses, and that's kind of what the second piece to this puzzle is: how do we partner with those really good companies that are not getting on the roof recommending a replacement? They're actually seeing what's actually wrong, and how can we help that customer? Sometimes it's repairs, and as they've gotten to know us more, it's more about, wow, we could actually extend this roof, the life of this roof, through a product that, again, science, and why not? I mean, it makes sense. It's kind of crazy that it's only now really kind of coming to market because, asphalt is everywhere, and they're using this nanosilica particle, in the roads and the highways. This company just happened to formulate it and put it together so where when you apply it to a roof, it'll what it's kind of doing is kind of stopping that roof in time. And that's the way I like to explain it, because some people will say, well, I got a new roof a couple years ago. And I'm like, well, wouldn't it be nice if that 2-year-old roof stayed 2 years old for 15 more years? So that's a better way to think about what we're applying, is we're applying a product that actually creates, and it actually bonds to the shingle itself and creates a protective layer, which is, it's hydrophobic, so now the water isn't soaking in, right? And all those, a shingle, when you look at it under a microscope, is full of peaks and valleys. And what's happening is that water's kind of holding up in those spots as the rain's coming down. And then over time, it'll start to sheen off the roof. But with our product applied, it just immediately, sheens off the roof and just gives that roof a better chance in an environment. This is the perfect storm for when you think about things like this part of our investment as a homeowner. we live in the most, unfriendly climate from the sun, the heat, and the UV that's coming at the roof every day. That's drying it out just because you think of the product. Of course, we have hail events here often, and plenty of rain, snow, freeze-thaw cycles are happening, wind is happening. We have every possible element that's going against this one product that's on top of the house. And how do we create a layer of protection to help homeowners? So that's kind of our goal.
So just because, I hadn't really heard of this previously. Can you break down a little, I guess, a basic version of kind of the science? Is it, or the material, or how it's applied to the roof?
Sure. Yeah. Great question. So it's a nanosilica. So the piece to that's important is that the product is super small, microphobic, right? So the size of a hair. So it actually will penetrate into the roof, into the shingle itself. So it's going to find its way into any of the cracks or crevices that have formed from wear if they're older. And we have different layers. So we have the 0 to 5, which is our premium product, because that's going to keep that new roof new for 15 years. So it's a 15-year transferable warranty. To get to your question, too, is the way we apply it is we just simply spray it onto the top of the roof. So this morning we had a job, and, we just show up. It takes us about an hour and a half, depending on the roof size. And we jump up there, and we're looking first and foremost, is there anything standing out on this roof that needs, help? Like, do we need to do some caulking, or are there any boots around the vents that need replaced? And then once we determine, as we looked at it ahead of time, but once we determine there's nothing really there, we blow the roof off, and we literally just spray the product right onto the top. Takes 2 hours for the initial cure, that we just don't want it to get wet, and then 12 hours, it'll be fully cured. 24, it's off and running and in great shape. Yep.
Interesting. So when would you recommend someone put something like this on the roof?
Right now.
Right? Yeah, so it's
really.
So even if you have a brand new roof, go ahead and put it on.
I would, because again, I think we fall under the misnomer here that, and we're hearing more and more about these insurance things. So we get into that bucket of conversation. It's amazing. I'll tell you that a sales guy that we have with us, he's looking at a roof right now where the customer told him, we were actually door knocking and bringing awareness. We're really just trying to make people aware of the product, just giving them an idea. Most people haven't heard of it. But this person said, their insurance company just told them that after 12 years, this roof is only 12 years old, they were going to take the roof off the policy and not cover it unless they replaced the roof. So he got up there and looked at it. He said, there's nothing wrong with this roof. This roof is totally fine. I could certify it. So we're going to take that approach with this insurance company. We're going to try to get it certified, turn it in, and then say, hey, we have this additional layer of protection we can put on the roof, and give them another 3 to 5 or 10 years, just depending on what we can get them to, consider. But we're all facing that.
Right.
I'm not saying every insurance company is that way, but you have depreciation now, so that's a new thing, right? We're talking about actual cash value. So what they're saying is, well, this is a 10-year-old roof. We're going to depreciate that roof 10 years before we then consider what their part of the payout's going to be. So when homeowners think, well, I'm just waiting for the next storm, but you're also waiting for the next big bill. Mm-hmm. And how could we just protect what you have and prevent that for as long as possible? That's kind of our approach.
I think that's a great point to bring up, too, is that when you're looking at the insurance, take a look at your insurance. Right now they have, roof insurance. So the deductible, now the deductible on that roof is separate than what it is from pretty much the rest of the home.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're actually, another thing that we're learning is they're doing a percentage of the dwelling. So the deductible may no longer apply to a regular fix like a plumbing issue or whatever. It may be, no, we're going to take this, 2 or 3% of the dwelling, and that's what their deductible is going to be versus what used to be, 5 if you were paying a higher premium, 10,000 if you're paying a mediocre premium, because for 10 grand you get a $20,000 roof. People would do it, or 25,000. Just depends on the value, but. I think that's the key for us in our approach. What I'm hoping, if anybody's watching today, as they do watch the episode, think about like what is your policy, and what are some other additional or alternative methods that you could take to keep what you have for as long as possible. So that's kind of our approach.
Yeah.
So obviously, I'm sure the different houses and sizes are going to be a different price point. But what does it cost to get this done? Obviously, it's probably not nearly as much as a new roof.
Right. Yeah. And that's the other key to this, right? So our premium product would be 178 a square. So if you're thinking about squares on a roof, so that's for a new roof would cost you maybe 600 a square. So considerably less and with a warranty and not voiding the shingle warranty that they currently have. We're also, today we ran into a roof, we talked to a lady, and her roof isn't going to need our good product, not, so it's like the entry level for somebody who, her roof is, I think, 14 years old. Good condition, nothing really stands out about it, hasn't had any serious weather events. And we can extend hers 3 to 5 with our good product. That's going to be a lot more of a mixture of bioseed oil with the nanosilica in it. And we do not dilute our product in any way. And, to speak to the competitors, I mean, they do. That's what they do. They actually mix their product with their bioseed oil with water. And what they're doing is they're hydrating. So our good product has more of that oil in it because the roof is actually thirsty. That's the best way to look at that, right? So it's starting to shrivel up a little bit, so it needs the oils so that it'll lay back down. And again, giving her 3 to 5 years to prepare for what's coming. She's an older lady, so that's just kind of an approach for her versus just, they're going to replace it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people that are thinking, like you were saying, that if they're waiting for that next hailstorm so they're going to get a roof replaced, they need to contact their insurance company and ask them because, so what it sounded like is your product is a third of what it would be to, roughly, about what it would be to replace a new roof. Do you know, and something I'm going to actually talk to my insurance company about too, but if you have an application done like this on your roof, are you able to call up your insurance company and say, hey, I've got this done, can you back off some, insurance premium and make it be cheaper?
Yeah, I mean, we're hoping, right? So currently, and I think this is fine to say, USAA and some State Farm agents have actually been having conversations with homeowners about this. Now, that will be a game changer for us, right? Like if we can get the insurance company to recognize the additional protection. And I will say this about Go Nano, and you guys can, get on our site and look at it. And I encourage you to, because there are some really good videos just kind of showing. They were at RoofCon last year, for example, and this roof guru, right? He came by it and he's like, yeah, this roof spray is, BS or whatever he said. And he's just being honest. Like, he's a roofer. He understands roofing and the materials and what they are. But he's also honest in this, right? The roofing industry, the shingle itself today, 10 years ago, the shingle was better than it is today. That may not be across the board, but that's really just because of material, right? Just the material, what it takes to build it, whatever it is. But they fired these hailstones at this roof at 200 miles an hour, and on the nano product versus the unprotected shingle, there was actually minimal to no breakage in the shingle versus just the shingle itself standing up to that hailstone.
Wow.
Yeah, it's incredible. And so, because when I say impact resistant, right, so it's adding that extra protection in the sense that it builds that shingle back up and it gives it the strength that it needs to withstand things like a 200-mile-an-hour hailstone. Now, that may not be very common that they're coming that fast or that big, but that should be some reassurance for homeowners just as they're considering that as an alternative.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, really that was one of the concepts for me is, here's an opportunity, I believe, to bring something to market. There are several dealers in the Denver market, and, we work together. That's great. I plug their business as much as mine because I want them to be able to be successful as well. And the idea behind it is, raising awareness. It really, truly is just raising awareness. In where we see one of the big impacts is like even on concrete. And if you've ever seen those driveways that start to break down, it's just the top layer of the concrete. And, it doesn't have a choice because we're throwing salt on it. The UV is just beating it up all the time. We're driving on it. There's all these elements that are happening to concrete. Our concrete product will penetrate up to a half inch into the concrete. And what's amazing about it is that when you apply it after it dries, you wouldn't know that driveway was protected, or that sidewalk or landscaping. I mean, you wouldn't know at all that it was on there until you sprayed a hose on it. And literally the water just will beat up on top and run right off of the driveway or whatever it's applied to. And so, you think about what happens in when it freezes here, that the top layer of that snow as it's melting and freezing is why it freezes to the concrete, because it's getting inside of the concrete. That's what creates the scraping and the hard parts. So this company's from Canada. They have all of our same weather there, and that's exactly, they said one of the benefits is, makes scooping the walk much easier, and everything's kind of just staying on the surface versus penetrating into the concrete.
So you do driveways, you do shingles. Do you also do like maybe commercial buildings with concrete roofs, right? Maybe like a school or other buildings like that? Is that kind of the same thing?
Yeah, so the concrete product would go on that concrete tile roof, and that we don't cover certain commercial buildings that have like the rubber roofing. We would cover anything that has the sheeting top, and a lot of them are flat, angled, and then we can coat those, but it just kind of depends on what application is there. And we do want to get into the commercial side, and as we build the company, because think of the front of every convenience store that you can think of, right? Their biggest enemy is power washing, that's every month or two, because all the stuff that's tracking into that store is all staying right there on that front door. So we can power wash it once, let it dry, throw our concrete protection on there, and then those things won't bleed into the concrete like they would before. So yeah, pretty awesome.
Yeah. So you said you wouldn't even notice, consistency wise before or after. Is it the same thing on the shingles too, or does it kind of make it a little bit of a different material or feel texture to it?
It doesn't actually change anything about the shingle. It's the same effect. Like when we sprayed it this morning, the homeowner was like, man, that looks so nice, because it darkens it up a little bit because we're putting the application together. But I told him, well, once it dries, the color will be there a little bit more, because we blew it off and then we applied the product. So it's going to create a layer of just clean. But in time, it'll go back to, it'll start to fade normally. But the top layer is actually still protected. It's just because the dirt blows right back on top of it. That's why. But but it does give it a little bit of a pop, right? It brings those colors that they invested in those shingles that don't always last. You see most of those granulars on the ground after a storm. Yeah. So you're picking and sweeping them up all the time. And we're locking all that in. That's what I tell people. Think about, what if we kept that shingle as tight as possible for as long as possible?
Right.
Yeah.
And so it works. So do you use the same product on cement as you would the roof?
Nope.
Oh, they're different products.
Different products.
Is it a different product then for a wood fence or anything like that as well?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So tell us about the wood fence piece of it.
Yeah. So actually, we're spraying a friend of mine's fence tomorrow. She put up this new beautiful fence, and it's got that great color to it. And I think that's one thing that, as a homeowner, when you invest in a fence, fences are a lot, they're expensive. But I was showing her, we sprayed a board and then, came back the next day. It literally does the exact same thing. It's formulated for wood, so it'll penetrate the wood the same way it penetrates the shingle, but it's formulated to bond to the wood. So going forward, her sprinklers won't, begin to create that pattern on the fence. If there's overspray from the sprinkler, when it rains, the water just sheens off of it, and the boards are actually dry. You can walk up to a board that you just sprayed, and it'll actually be dry to the touch. So it's just, again, keeping that color, because that's what we want, right? We want the new. Or you could stain it first, and then we could apply it after the stain, and it'll hold that stain in for 5 years. So not the same, like our best product for roofing for 15 years. Our mid-grade product is 10, and then when you get into concrete and wood, it's 5 to 7, just depending on the application and what the conditions are of that product.
Yeah. And then does that work the same with paint on a fence too versus stain?
So paint's a little bit different. We can coat paint, but paint's a little bit different because the paint actually formed a bond first onto the wood. So depending how well that paint actually adhered to the wood will depend on how well it'll protect. It will protect the paint, but it won't protect it as we might think of it, because again, heat and cold and all the things that are happening here. So we will guarantee that it won't break the paint down, but it will not actually protect against that paint coming off.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Got to be careful about how we think that out, right? But that's an important piece to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, because I mean, in high school, I remember putting up a fence in our backyard. And it was only like a 15-foot section, but it took a long time, and it would have costed a lot of money. And I mean, that's something that's pretty neat. Just because I just bought a home with a few buddies of mine, and we had our AC unit go out, so we're looking to try and save some money, and it would have been nice to have a preventative plan in that scenario, but we're learning. So.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I mentioned about like meeting with roofers and starting to work with roofers. So, meeting wonderful people, and I know Melinda's a friend of yours, and Sean, that was such great people, and I got to give her a shout out because she's so awesome. But with that networking piece for us is important because we want to actually be able to provide an additional layer in terms of what we can do for a homeowner. When I mentioned that about roofing is like, as I continue to just kind of visualize this plan around this area, I had a rental when we moved back up in Castle Rock, and I bet I've been contacted, 25 or so times from a roofer, and I'm like, I don't even own the place, and you guys are still bothering me. But that's the wrong roofer. I'm just going to say it because it is. I mean, I'm not looking for somebody that's just aggressively wanting to come out and jump on the roof and tell me there's a problem. I'm actually looking for somebody I trust. So we want to also build that book of business with contractors, through our BNI group and the Chamber of Commerce here. The South Metro Denver Chamber is an amazing group of people, Littleton Chamber. And there's really incredible people that are there, contractors that are there that you can point people to, knowing that one, they're going to show up, and two, they're going to fix the problem and not find additional things wrong, right? And that's really what we face as a homeowner. One, too, it's the one industry in roofing where they come knocking on your door versus if you need an HVAC guy, well, what's your approach? You're
find them.
You're Googling, you're looking maybe for a good review, but the best business is referral business.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really, if I understand, I know this guy, and that's what we want to relay to our customer. Like, if you know this person, and I can refer them to you, like I'm giving you my word that they're going to do what they say they're going to do, and so that's the the additional piece to our business to kind of give us, what we hope to build just huge trust with our customers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's a great way to do it. And is there any product out there? I mean, we're in the process of actually just even painting and stuff like our house. But it'd be great to have the paint on the house last longer as well. Or is that just not quite there yet?
It's not quite there yet.
All right. Just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, no, metal's in the works right now. So you think of all these metal roofs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they fade really easy in the sun here.
Yep.
So that's in the works. I know I can speak a little of that. It isn't out yet, but they're working on it. And I think I was kind of going down this road with this idea that Go Nano has done tons of third-party testing on everything that they do. So when I was able to dig into that and see that, this just wasn't their idea and they came up with it, and they're the only ones that have ever tested it, and they're the only ones that know anything about it. They actually took it to these labs and said, rip it apart. They threw wind at this thing forever, at a roof, and they've done a lot of great testing, and that's what we can, that's what we feel good standing behind. So feels good.
Any application for like shake shield roofs? Or is it strictly asphalt?
Well, I'll tell you about shakes, right? I had one in Parker.
I did. We had one at our rental property and stuff too.
Impossible to get rid of.
It was brutal. It was brutal.
It is so funny how actually everybody would tell me how great of a roof it was, and I was like, no, it's just a fire hazard. It's just ready to go up in flames. Like I want it gone. But the insurance is like, no, it's great. We'll just keep fixing 3 or 4 shakes and you're in good shape. I'm like, all right, you're insuring it. So.
And they keep drying and then they keep bubbling up like this. Then they finally break. And it was brutal until we got ours replaced.
To answer your question though, I don't know, Danny. Okay. I wish I knew the answer to it, but I don't. I don't know why not, but I'll ask. We'll find out. Yeah. Hey. Anybody out there looking for a shake roof coverage? I'll give it a shot. I'll see what I can do.
So obviously you touch on the referral piece of the business, but also being the entrepreneur that you are, I'm sure there are other avenues that you're going after. You talked about door knocking. Are you also attacking social media, and what other avenues are you attacking, on the entrepreneur side?
Yeah. Well, Meta, right? That's a really good place to be, and we're trying to figure out the algorithm or whatever it is around that. We have a great marketing guy, and he's working on that. It's one of those worlds where to raise awareness is to put it out there, and so we're hoping that picks up a little bit. There's nothing wrong with it, but it'd be nice to see a few more leads coming in, obviously. Yeah. Outside of that, my kids are huge on social, so if you haven't followed us on Facebook or Instagram, please go check us out. They're always coming up with some crazy stuff to do on there. And it's funny, as we're learning about that, in the ag industry, so that my other business, they wouldn't look for any solution online. So we don't really have a marketing campaign for that way. We email and postcard them, but because that's what works. And that may work here too. We might have to figure those things out. But right now, that's kind of our approach. Going out to, networking and the social media the Meta ads that we're running. Google, we're working on Google to get our Google reviews up. And yeah, we're just grassroots, man, just trying to build it from the scratch and raise awareness.
Do you have plans to expand throughout the Denver market or maybe outside of Colorado?
I don't think we'll leave Colorado. I think there's plenty of houses here. I don't know if you guys knew, Denver Metro, I think the number we looked up, 2,500 roofers in the Denver Metro.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I think just the weather and just the hail and stuff is what brings. I mean,
yeah,
you get a hailstorm and you got 10 roofers that are banging on your door.
And again, I don't love some of their approaches.
Right.
My wife pulled up a Nextdoor ad from Castle Rock, and this guy was asking, "Is this a scam?" And the roofer's letter that came in the mail was, "We'll be there next week on this day, and you need to make a claim and what have you." And you know how many vulnerable people there are. They just feel like they're in a loss. Like, hey, this happened, and I remember the hail. Mm-hmm. That was a penny size at best. That's not a replacement hail. We know what replacement hail is, and they're just looking for work. And I'm not. Again, the industry really, truly, you find the right people, it's incredible. They're not going to do that, but that is the approach we hope to help people, cater to. Like, we can help them with a solution that'll solve a problem that they may not know they have yet. Mm-hmm. And quit waiting for the problem to happen is what we're trying to prevent.
Yeah, for sure. That's a lesson that I keep learning.
Yeah, that new home ownership is fun, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So we're trying to start looking a little bit longer term because we got in the house and then it was like, okay, we got a bunch of things to start figuring out.
Yeah. Homes, that's what they do.
Yeah,
they
for sure.
Just look for ways, but there's a lot of things you can do on your own.
Yeah, that's the goal, is to learn.
Yeah, to learn. Yeah, I think it's incredible. I know my son's going back to his senior year, and he's down in Kansas, and I'm going to be sad to miss my daughter, and my wife will be fine, but it's nice having that extra guy around to help us with that. But next year he's coming back, he says. So,
oh, right on.
Joey, I'm holding you to it.
Which you should. It's always fun to have him back.
Oh my gosh, I love it, and I want to tell you both how awesome it is. Working side by side. I think that's cool, and
yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's been a growing experience for sure.
Yeah,
it's been a good time.
Because I heard you were playing baseball, so I'm sure he carted you around a little bit for baseball. Is that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was my coach when I was younger, and
oh, right on.
He likes to have a claim to fame. He always tells me that he was first team All-State in high school. So
all conference and all county.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah,
he'll remind you.
Yeah,
right.
Every day, pretty much. Yeah,
he played D1, so it's it.
Oh, that's big.
It smokes me by a long ways. Yeah, he was better as the skill that I had as a senior in high school. He was way better than me as a sophomore.
Okay,
it's just amazing to see what the progress that these kids make and what they do. But he had me beat as a sophomore. I mean, he would have been pretty much all nation and stuff.
No, I was 140 pounds. I don't think
your skill-wise you would have.
Skill means everything.
Yeah, exactly.
I was a swim dad, so I spent a lot of time in Nebraska inside sweating while
there
it was
go.
blizzards outside. Even here in Parker that happened. But then my son was, football and basketball, and so I mean we went all over the place, and Loved every minute of it. I miss them all.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. That part's always a good time.
It really is.
So I kind of going off track just a little bit. I have a question as
Yeah.
far as, become a business owner, and you talk about grassroots starting a company.
Yeah.
For somebody who wants to start a company, right? You've been in a lot of different industries, structural wise and organization wise and system wise. Is it all, I don't want to call it cookie cutter because I know no business is cookie cutter, but do you kind of go in there with a good framework no matter the industry?
Yes. The answer is genuinely around having some sort of a plan with an operating system, right? Is to kind of understand things like, your supply, input, process, output, customer, right? Those are, I refer to it as a SIPOC. I'm a coach for business operations in that sense. And that idea behind what area do you need to focus on, ultimately supply is most important when you get started. You got to have customers, right? So you got to be finding ways to get yourself to market and make it happen. And obviously you should have a plan on what happens if you found one. Now what do you do with input? How do you enter it into your business and put it together and put it through the process? And that would be a customer walking in the door and buying something from you like a sandwich or any other thing that they would buy retail wise. In terms of a service, it's like, so they come in the door, well then how do I go out and provide them the service? The process then in the middle there, the P is just like understanding what do we have to do with this information, accounting wise, customer service wise, sales, whatever those pieces are, how does it go through the business? The output is, again, going out, applying it, putting it together, and ultimately getting to that customer where we're understanding that they were happy and, we did everything we promised that we were going to do. And, your follow through with, a review or whatever you're looking for to finish it off. And the key is this, right, is I think for business ownership is, I wouldn't have told you I was going to be in roofing because I was making sandwiches not that long ago. I mean, it's been a while, I guess, 15 years. But, when you think about the idea when it came to mind is that where my passion is people. And so how do I want to do that? And originally it started in terms of feeding them. And I can make a really killer sandwich and I'd love to make you a sandwich one day too, because that's what I love is I love reaction. I love it when people experience the food that I create and then they, but then again, I did go and do my hobby and I made it a business and I burned out on it.
Which was?
Food.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so both barbecue and then even sandwiches. Mm-hmm. The problem with it is that, I love it so much that when I ingrain myself in it and then it owns you and then you can't get away from it. So that wasn't fun anymore. I wouldn't say if it was the thing you absolutely love to do that you necessarily build a business around that. You might find yourself building a business around something that if it comes from the heart, like for us, it's helping customers. I mean, we genuinely feel that way. I'll reference Optimum here for just a second. There are 800 and some ag center pivot irrigation dealers across the country, right, from coast to coast. And these companies typically, most of them, even still today, even with my customer base, are still operating their companies on pen and paper. So when you talk about process, dollars lost, there's a huge leak there. Pen and paper is a very dangerous thing in a business that does very well because the revenue can have an oversight to the problems that are happening on the back end. And employees keeping track of them. Where are they? What are they doing? Where's the parts that we're missing? And when we were actually approached to do this, I worked for an irrigation company in Nebraska. So, I'll keep it short, but ultimately the manufacturer came to me and said, will you start a company around this? And when I saw the value of what I had just done for this big irrigation company, I'm like, yeah, there are a lot of them out there. Most of them are small, doing really well, but no exit strategy. Everything's on pen and paper. How do you sell your business? If I'm going to do this for 30 years, I sure as heck want to get out of it what I put into it. And when you don't have an exit strategy, you end up with a lot less in terms of a sale. So that's where my passion is around that. I've serviced those companies all across the country and just try to help build that up. And that's what hit me was it's operations, which is what I did for, big business. And I just took that and I took that experience and then I put technology behind it and launched it that way.
So I guess my next question would be, what are some of the bigger lessons that maybe you've learned throughout all of your ventures that are kind of a staple in what you do today, especially with your business now?
Yeah, scale. And I'm still fighting it. So I have to get out of my own way. And I have to trust people to do the work that I know they can do. And I have to find the right people to be in the right seat on the bus, driving in the same direction as me. And I have to understand who they are as a person so that I can allow them to be creative in their own way and not expect everybody to do it the way I do it. And so my wife, if she was here, she'd say, yeah, buddy, listen to yourself. But that is such an important piece of it. Trust that others can do what you need them to do. Scale as quickly as you can. And, that's our goal right now with both businesses is trying to find those right people, put them on the right seat, and really truly let people go and be what they need to be. I think that's the lesson that I keep learning over and over again.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, good stuff. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about that we haven't mentioned?
Oh my gosh. I hope this was okay.
No, it was great.
It was
so
so
exactly
good.
what.
Oh man, I tell you what, I'm glad you guys did it, and I think if there's anything, is just to thank you guys again. I mean, it's been a pleasure. I don't know if you do second rounds, but maybe in a couple of years,
Oh, for sure.
Come back and share where things are at in a couple of years
Yeah,
or whatever
for
that
sure.
looks like.
Hopefully not a couple of years. Hopefully sooner than that.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine with me. I'm happy to do it.
Well, thank you for coming on. If our listeners are tuned in and they want to protect their roof and contact you or learn a little bit more, where can they do that?
Yeah, if they would just go visit our website, nanoshieldcoatingcompany.com, nanoshieldcc.com, both of those. They can actually, right on our website, there's a tab on the right-hand side of the website. You can actually measure your roof. It'll spit out what it'll cost, and you can see exactly what they're looking for in terms of, what it would cost them. And depending on, the age of their roof, it'll give them a little bit of instruction around that. And ultimately, if they go look at us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, we're on all those platforms, and just, love the likes, the follows. It would be great.
Do you know the username that they could look up for all the social platforms?
Nanoshield Coating Company.
All right. And then how about a phone number or email?
Email would be Kory@nanoshieldcc.com.
And that's Korey.
Oh, it's Kory.
Kory. Okay.
I even removed the E. My
I
parents.
knew it was the K. Dang it.
Kory.
Kory.
Kory@nanoshieldcc.com would be great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, thank you for joining us today. It was a blast.
Oh my gosh, you guys, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in.
You bet.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Behind the Home Build, the podcast for all things home building. He's Danny, and I'm Riley. And if you're interested in learning more from experts in the home building community, we're on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast, and a few others, all at Behind the Home Build Podcast. And if you have any questions at all, make sure to send them our way on Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook at Behind the Home Build Podcast.